I just arrived on the island of Malta. I'm now in Sliema, which is next to Valetta, which is over there. So we're going to take a ferry, which is one way 150 euros and both ways 280 euros, which is really cheap. And if you want to go round, I just found out that you can take a public bus ticket for 7 days, which costs 21 euros, and you have unlimited rides. You can go anywhere across the island and the island of Gozo. There is a free ferry, and on the way back you just have to pay a little bit. So it's really cheap. You don't actually have to do a tour. Let's check it out. One thing you'll quickly notice when you walk Valetta is that there are quite steep streets. I mean, this one goes just straight down and all the way up. So you have to put on your walking shoes and be prepared to work out, I guess. As you can tell, Malta used to belong to the British Empire, and you can see a lot of traces of that here. And the tourists, of course, are also, a lot of them are British. The official languages of Malta are Maltese and English, so you can get around speaking English pretty easily. Other than that, the city is pretty walkable and you really should explore it. It's the best way to see details and look up and look down, look everywhere. There are so many beautiful things. Square, you can find a statue which commemorates the 1919 revolution, when people from all over Malta, from all kinds of social classes, came together to protest British rule because they were still not independent, and it resulted in quite a few deaths. But in 1921 Malta was actually granted self-governmental rights, so that's an achievement, and that's why there's a statue, to commemorate the people who had fallen that day. Right now it's February, so it's not really that crowded, but I don't want to imagine what it's like in summer if that's already off season. Since it's super popular with British tourists, you can expect high street fashion from the UK, but there's also really smaller shops which are more local, and they have a lot of sales, apparently a lot of the time. So you can check out little alleyways which are small galleries and shopping streets, apart from the usual ones, bigger ones, where you can find all kinds of cafes and restaurants. You really have to look for it. Just go search and be curious and stumble upon things. It's part of the fun. One of the best known places and a cool place to eat in a cafe and go shopping if you have a lot of money, because there are luxury brands around, is the Theatre Square, also known as the Pjazza, Teatru, Rjal. There are regular events held here like concerts, performances and theatre shows, because it is the old theatre, and that's why it's called Theatre Square. Here's a special tip: if you go eat at the theatre cafe and you go to the toilets, you can actually walk underneath the theatre, which is pretty cool because that side you don't see when you go up there. Behind me is the Co-Cathedral of St John. It was built at the end of the 16th century by the Order of St John, and it is dedicated to St John the Baptist. This is St Paul's Pro-Cathedral, and its spire is more than 60 meters high, and you can spot it all over Valetta. It's an iconic building in Valetta, and let's just go in, right? to actually take photos and film. And inside, it is made from Maltese limestone, and it was built on a site which belonged to the German Knights of St John. By the way, a Pro-Cathedral is a cathedral that is not the appointed seat of a bishop. He sits in the Church of Gibraltar, and this belongs to the Diocese of Europe. And this is the largest diocese in the Anglican Church. So that's pretty impressive, right? This is the Church of Francis of Assisi, and it's super beautiful, but it was closing just as we stepped in, which is a thing of the churches of Malta, that you have to go in as soon as you see the doors open, because you don't know when it will get closed, because most of the day it is actually not open. That's what I think. That's my experience. If you're craving food, you should go to Valletta food market, Is-Suq Tal-Belt, and it is amazing. There's so much in there. I'll show you. There's multiple levels. You can get British food, Cornish pastry if you want. You can get kebab from Turkey. You can get fresh seafood. Of course, there's also classic Italian and Maltese food. If you continue walking from St Elmo, you will see the lower Barrakka gardens and the World War II siege bell monument. It's crazy windy up here. This is the statue of the unknown soldier in commemoration of all of the soldiers who were never identified. Also, there's a pretty good view of the harbour. This is what the lower Barrakka gardens in Valetta look like from the inside. One thing you should know about Malta and what to pack is that it's super windy, so forget any hats, forget anything, you can easily fly away. Just keep it simple, don't do your hair up pretty nicely because it will get messy. A ponytail is a good way to go, I would say. If you're too lazy or you just want to see how it is like downstairs, you can take the lifts. There are plenty all over Valetta, and I think they're free to use. The trouble is when you take the elevator down and you want to walk up, it's a lot of stairs. There are plenty of forts all around Valetta in neighbouring cities, but one of the most prominent ones is the one at the northern tip, which is Fort St Elmo. And this is what the remains of it looks like. There is the National War Museum just next door, there's some lower Barrakka gardens, and yeah, let's just have a stroll, right? And that was Valetta in Malta. I hope you liked the video. Give me a thumbs up, a like, and subscribe to let me know that you did. And drop a comment below if you've been to Malta, if you want to go to Malta, if you want to see more. Don't forget to subscribe and follow, because there will be more Malta content in video form and on the blog, so type in www.travelonthebrain.net for upcoming content. We'll see you around, stay travel-tastic, and bye!